Australia's cities consistently rank among the most livable globally, and its economy offers countless prospects for those seeking a fresh start. But while this rosy image holds true in many ways, another less glamorous narrative has been making waves: the housing crisis. Over the past few years, housing affordability has become a pressing concern for millions of Australians. Headlines are filled with stories of skyrocketing home prices, fierce rental competition, and increasing homelessness. For many, the dream of owning a home feels more unattainable than ever before. Amidst these challenges, a controversial question has emerged: are immigrants to blame? Some corners of public discourse suggest that Australia's immigration policies are contributing to this crisis, with claims that an influx of people is driving up demand and squeezing the housing market. These narratives have sparked heated debates, often pitting communities against one another. But is there any truth to these claims? Or are immigrants being unfairly scapegoated for a much broader and more systemic issue? In today's video, we're unpacking the complex relationship between immigration and Australia's housing market. We'll explore the facts, debunk the myths, and dive into the potential solutions to this multifaceted problem. Buckle up as we delve into one of the most pressing and polarizing issues facing modern Australia. What is the housing crisis? First, let's set the stage. What exactly is Australia's housing crisis? 1. Skyrocketing prices. Over the past decade, housing prices have surged in Australia, with cities like Sydney and Melbourne among the least affordable in the world. The median house price in Sydney is over 1.2 million Australian dollars, making home ownership a distant dream for many. 2. Rising rents. It's not just buyers who are feeling the squeeze, as renters are also struggling, with rental prices climbing at their fastest rate in decades. Vacancy rates in major cities are at record lows, leading to bidding wars even for rentals. 3. Homelessness. At the extreme end, homelessness is on the rise, and over 120,000 people experience homelessness in Australia on any given night, highlighting the human toll of this crisis. This housing crunch has triggered heated debates about who or what is to blame, and that brings us to our next question. Why are immigrants blamed? It's no secret that immigration is a hot topic in Australia, and when housing issues arise, immigrants often find themselves in the crosshairs. Immigration has contributed significantly to Australia's population growth, and critics argue that an increasing population creates more demand for housing, driving up prices and straining the market. Many immigrants settle in major cities like Sydney and Melbourne, which already have high housing demand, and this concentration can amplify competition for homes and rentals. Unfortunately, some politicians and commentators have used immigrants as scapegoats, framing them as the primary reason for housing shortages. This oversimplifies a complex issue and often ignores other factors. But before we draw any conclusions, let's examine whether these claims hold up under scrutiny. The bigger picture. Blaming immigrants for the housing crisis is convenient, but it overlooks the broader systemic issues. Let's explore some of the real drivers behind Australia's housing challenges. 1. Supply and demand imbalance. The core issue is a lack of housing supply, since Australia has not built enough homes to keep up with population growth, and delays in construction projects only worsen the problem. 2. Zoning and regulations. Strict zoning laws and lengthy approval processes make it difficult to build new housing, particularly in urban areas where demand is highest. 3. Investors and speculation. Property investors, both domestic and international, have played a significant role in driving up prices. Tax incentives like negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts encourage speculative buying, pushing first-time buyers out of the market. 4. Infrastructure challenges. A lack of infrastructure in regional areas limits people's ability to move away from overcrowded cities, concentrating housing demand in already stressed urban centers. When viewed through this lens, it's clear that immigration is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Do immigrants really drive housing prices? Now let's tackle the big question. Do immigrants directly cause housing prices to rise? Here's what the data tells us. 1. Moderate impact. Studies show that immigration has a modest impact on housing prices. While an influx of people increases demand, this effect is often localized to specific areas and doesn't account for the nationwide crisis. 2. Economic contribution. Immigrants contribute to the economy by filling labor shortages, starting businesses, and paying taxes. Their economic activities can actually stimulate housing development by creating jobs in construction and related industries. 3. Diverse patterns. Not all immigrants settle in urban centers. Many move to regional areas, helping to revitalize local economies and balance population distribution. It's also worth noting that immigrants face many of the same housing challenges as native Australians, and they're not the cause of the crisis. They're often victims of it. The role of government policies. If immigrants aren't the main drivers of the housing crisis, what role does government policy play? Successive governments have failed to invest adequately in social and affordable housing, leaving a gap that the private market hasn't filled. As mentioned earlier, policies like negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts have incentivized speculative property investment, driving up prices. While immigration policies are often blamed, they're designed to address labor shortages and economic needs. The problem lies in failing to align these policies with housing and infrastructure development. A more coordinated approach that balances population growth with housing supply is crucial to resolving the crisis. The human side of the debate. Behind the statistics and policies are real people, both immigrants and Australians, who are grappling with the housing crisis. Many immigrants arrive in Australia with hopes of a better life, only to face housing affordability challenges. They often live in overcrowded conditions or pay exorbitant rents, making it hard to establish roots. The housing crisis can create resentment and misunderstandings between communities. It's important to foster dialogue and collaboration rather than division. At the end of the day, both immigrants and long-term residents share the same frustrations about housing. Recognizing this common ground can pave the way for united action. What can be done? So, what's the solution? Tackling Australia's housing crisis requires a multifaceted approach, and here are some key strategies. 1. Increase housing supply. Accelerating the construction of new homes, particularly affordable and social housing, is essential. Governments can incentivize developers to build more and streamline approval processes. 2. Reform tax policies. Addressing tax incentives that favor property investors could help level the playing field for first-time buyers and renters. 3. Invest in infrastructure. Expanding public transport and amenities in regional areas can encourage population growth outside of major cities, easing pressure on urban housing markets. 4. Better planning. Immigration and housing policies need to be more closely aligned to ensure that population growth is supported by adequate housing and infrastructure. 5. Community initiatives. Local programs that promote cultural understanding and collaboration can help reduce tensions and foster a sense of shared responsibility. The bottom line. Blaming immigrants for Australia's housing crisis may make for an easy headline, but it's far from the full story. The real issues lie in systemic problems like supply shortages, regulatory barriers, and poorly aligned policies. Immigrants are not the cause of the crisis. They're part of the diverse fabric of Australian society that makes the country unique. Resolving the housing crisis will take time, investment, and collaboration, but by shifting the focus from blame to solutions, we can create a more inclusive and sustainable future for everyone. That will be all in this video. Please share your opinions with us in the comments area. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable the notification bell to receive updates on Australia immigration news. Thanks for watching.